Okay, for those who um, can't make it, let me just check to make sure I am okay on Facebook. My screen is showing. Yes. Okay, perfect. Good, good. All right, so 3 secrets to perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause success. Like I said, it is a mouthful. Oops. So, one thing is I just want to introduce myself a little bit. So, my name is Trisha Camart. I am a holistic nutritionist. Um, I have 3 teenagers now. I also instruct Zumba. That's one of my passions. I love dancing and just feeling very like free and flowy and feminine dancing. So I instruct Zumba to kind of have that little piece of me be kind of escape if it's like bottled up too long, it's not good. So I like just having that free flowingness of dancing. I also instruct yoga fit, which is kind of like a vinyasa style type of yoga. I'm a health practitioner and I coach women that are over 40 and just to kind of help them understand the changes that come with perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And I work mainly with nutrition, but the times that you work with me, we start to develop more holistic health practices. So you can just kind of feel at ease as this transition is happening. So if you want to grab a pen and paper, you can if you have any notes that you want to take. But this is recorded and it is live on the Facebook group, so you can always come back and view it. I'm going to be about 30 minutes doing the talk, so you can budget for that amount of time. There's a chat box in Zoom. So if you're on Zoom, you can use the chat box to ask questions, or you can leave some comments in the Facebook group. And if I miss them or you watch the replay, just send me a message and I can address those comments and questions later too. Okay, so does this sound like you? Okay, your body's shifting, it's changing. The things that you did in your 20s and 30s, they're not working anymore. Weight loss seems to be really hard or impossible. Maybe you're experiencing a few more aches and pains that you didn't have before. Maybe less energy overall. Maybe you're experiencing some fatigue during the day. Maybe you're experiencing some fatigue in the morning when you wake up and it's just hard to even get going. And so then overall, you have like less energy for workouts. You may be experiencing some brain fog, some anxiety, some depression, which keeps you from staying focused in the things that you need to do. If you are in perimenopause, so probably late 30s, early 40s, you might be experiencing some irregular periods, shorter cycles, heavier periods. So lots here, and we're going to go through even more on how your body can experience this shift, this transition. So maybe you've tried some stuff. Maybe you're doing some things that you did in your 20s and 30s, like maybe I just need to hit the gym harder. So you work out even more and that backfires. Or maybe I need to like tighten up my nutrition and that tends to backfire. Maybe you are feeling this anxiety, this moodiness, these mood swings, and you don't even know what to do. You're having a hard time figuring out what's going to work for you, what's not going to work for you. And things aren't going to work the same as they did in our 20s and 30s because our hormones just aren't the same as they once were. They're changing, they're shifting. And this is very similar to when we were a teenager and we were going through puberty. Now we're going through the opposite of puberty. So, remember those times when you maybe hated your parents or your parents hated you because you're so moody and irritable and just couldn't get a handle on things. Maybe your anxiety was a little bit higher. So we're kind of going through that stage again, only in the reverse. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is how to implement 3 strategies for success in perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause. We're going to first talk about accepting the transition. So number 1, why is this happening to me? And we talked a little bit about that, but why is this happening to me? And why is my body changing? And I want you to get into this, that your body is changing. If it hasn't changed, it is going to change. And so accept this transition. Try not to fight it, because anyway, we'll talk about that. Try not to fight it, but accept the transition. Number two, we're going to talk about nutrition. And this is one of the number one reasons why women come to work with me, is because they now have this belly fat that is accumulated. And this was for me as well. I used to gain weight in my hips and my thighs. And then I started to gain weight in my belly. And I'm like, what? That never happens. And so now it happens. If I'm going to gain weight, that's where it's going to be. And then we're going to talk about movement. So why movement is important now more than ever. And the idea with like having these 3 steps, these 3 secrets, is to help you move through this transition a little bit more with more ease and more awareness as well. So before we dig in, I'm just going to share a little bit about my story, where I'm at and what I'm going through. So when I was 40 years old, I felt like the bomb. I felt so awesome. And I had my nutrition dialed in. I had my workouts dialed in. I loved everything. Everything was just like awesome. I couldn't even believe that I had turned 40 and I was like looking as good as I did. And then like 41 hit and I started to put on weight around my belly. I started to feel really squishy. So even my workouts weren't holding like the muscle mass that I normally had. Like all the regular stuff that I was doing just wasn't working anymore. I was eating paleo. Paleo wasn't working anymore. Paleo is more of like a low carb kind of diet. That wasn't working for me anymore. And like I said, my workouts just weren't cutting it in terms of how I had looked a year before. And I was like, what is going on here? I could not understand what was happening. It left me very frustrated, left me sad, it left me ashamed. Also at this time, my periods started getting really heavy and really close together. And I'd gone into emergency, like to the hospital at emergency a couple of times because my periods were so heavy. And I was like, is this normal? Like, what is happening? I'm kind of worried here that something's going on. And the doctor was just like, yeah, like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, really? That's all you have to offer me? What do you want me to do? So I was just like, okay, this is what's happening. I had to like, sometimes I had to like not work. I couldn't teach my fitness classes because it was like, it was just so heavy. And then because I was losing so much blood, like fatigue started to set in. And then my moods were getting really bad. I had to stop drinking caffeinated coffee and move to a decaf coffee because I noticed when I was drinking caffeinated coffee, my anxiety was through the roof and I was a monster. Like I was so snappy with the kids, just not myself whatsoever. And I didn't know it at the time, right? I didn't know it at the time, but now I look back at it and I was like, oh, I was like beginning perimenopause. Like that's exactly what happens. And when I talk to more women, that is exactly what's happening with them. When we start perimenopause, usually we get that shorter cycles, heavier periods. We get these changes. We don't know what's going on. We're going to our doctor. Our doctor's like, I don't know, like try this, try that. And so it becomes, I just wish somebody would have told me, you are in perimenopause. This is what's going to happen. This is what you can expect. So I'm here doing that now for you. If you are noticing some changes and you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you are in perimenopause. Your body is going to change. And it's good to know lots of information about how your body is going to change. And you're going to hear some today. But reach out to your girlfriends, reach out to like holistic health practitioners, naturopathic doctors, and see what they have to say about this transition. It'll put you at ease a little bit knowing that you're in this transition. So 6 years later, I'm going to be 47 this year. Like I can't even believe that time has flown by so fast. But yeah, I made it come back. So I found a plan that's going to work for me. And we're going to talk about that today. And has worked for lots of my clients as well to help me lose the belly fat. My moods have definitely leveled off. And this my internet's connection's unstable. So my moods have definitely leveled off. And I feel much more stable. My husband is notices a big difference. And I'm feeling much stronger, not squishier. There are times when I don't work out as often with the right workouts and I feel a little squishy, but I know now what my body has to do to stay and feel strong. So, okay, let's talk about number one. So accepting the transition as to why this is happening. And I'm gonna get a little drink. So what happens in perimenopause is that, as I said, it's the reverse of puberty. And so we have these hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which drive our cycles every month. And we start to see this decrease in estrogen and progesterone. At the end of menopause, those levels are going to be very low, but we're starting to just see those levels decrease. And so with those levels decreasing, we get a change in our bodies and how we're feeling, our physical symptoms, our mental symptoms, everything that we're experiencing. So first, we start to see progesterone decline, and then this tends to create those symptoms of increased PMS. Like I remember I never had too bad PMS before, but I remember like having to have like all of the creams on my back and on my lower abdomen. I'd have to go to sleep with a hot water bottle because the pain was so bad for PMS, and I never had that. And as I said before, my irritability was really bad. Like my husband could like he'd just be like, "Oh, you're getting your period next week?" Because I was so irritable. Um, Periods are much closer together and they're usually heavier. So this is what we see. Now, if you see this happening, please take note. What happens is it tends to leave estrogen a little bit dominant in our system. And then when the estrogen is dominant in our system, that's when we can also develop things like polyps or fibroids, which can also contribute to heavy bleeding. So definitely don't leave your heavy bleeding unchecked. Like go to your doctor, talk to your doctor, and then push for a referral to a gynecologist so they can help you through this transition, because it can be really debilitating for your life, for your quality of life. I ended up, I'll just share my personal story. I ended up going and getting an ablation done. I think if I know now if I knew then what I know now, I think I would have been able to manage the process a little bit better, but I just didn't know. And so that was the avenue I took. I am completely accepting of that. I don't get a period anymore, maybe a little bit of spotting, and I will continue to do that until menopause hits, but I'm very happy with that decision. And I needed to, and that procedure had to happen for me to continue on with what I was doing. So get the help that you need. Don't leave it. Okay. And then, so progesterone starts to decline, and then estrogen starts to decline. And when we get estrogen declining, then that's when we start to see things like increased belly fat, moodiness, squishy muscles, increased anxiety, and more. These are the symptoms that are typically present as we enter perimenopause, menopause. Some of the main symptoms are hot flashes and night sweats, sleep problems, weight gain, loss of libido, hair loss or hair thinning, irregular periods, and mood swings. So those are the main ones, but there's others. An increase in joint pain and muscle aches. Your digestion starts to go off a little bit. So you might notice more bloating or IBS symptoms, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, heart palpitations. Your blood pressure may start to increase. Itchiness, like skin itchiness, period pain without a period, a bitter metallic taste in the mouth, brittle nails, dizziness, nausea, tingling and numbness, pins and needles feeling in your hands and in your feet, anxiety and panic attacks, depression, digestive issues, headaches, heavy bleeding during your period, increased PMS, memory lapses, shorter or lighter periods. So that's going to happen when estrogen starts to drop. So first we're going to have a lot of periods, and they're going to be closer together, and they're going to be heavy, and then they're just going to start to dwindle down. Bladder infections become more prominent, urine leaking and urgency as we lose that support around our pelvic floor, and we start to lose that. Chills, dry mouth or dry eyes, and new or worsening allergies. That one I see quite a bit too, people getting new or worsening allergies. So maybe you have one, maybe you have two, maybe you have three or four or five, but these are some of the symptoms that can be associated. So if you are, sitting there wondering what is happening to me, and you've listed off some of these symptoms, and you are in your late 30s, early 40s and beyond, it probably has to do with our decline of estrogen and progesterone. So how do we carry on with these symptoms? And it's interesting because, you know, society, well, yes, our culture, it doesn't really recognize this transition. I have started to see a few businesses that have been offering more menopausal support. A friend of mine in Calgary, she just, yeah, she had told me that, I think it was her business, her company that she works for had started to offer some menopausal support, which is great. But you know, they just expect us to push through as we did in our 20s and 30s, and our whole body doesn't want to do that. So we have all of this protective measure from estrogen, progesterone, which help us in our 20s and 30s do all of these things. And then as it starts to reduce, you know, our body is saying, okay, you need to rest, you need to slow down. But our society is like, no, keep going, you got to keep going, we need the deadlines in, we need to get this work done, we need to keep the pace fast. Like it's very unfortunate that we haven't made this shift as other cultures have. But again, I see it happening. I think the more we talk about it, the more the shift can happen. So the problem is that if you don't make some adjustments, holistic health adjustments, I'll call them, we go through perimenopause and menopause, we get fired up, we have many, many symptoms, and the body begins to just melt down in its attempt to kind of keep up. And you may find that the harder you work, the less progress you make. So I am asking you to accept this transition, and you're in this transition. So make some adjustments to your life to improve the quality of your life. You have the benefit of being older and having a lot of wisdom behind you. So, you know, in our 20s and 30s, we used a lot of like grit and determination to get things done. And we're like, you know, we thrived off of stress, and we're like, oh, stress makes me work harder. I remember saying that, like, I thrive off of stress. That makes me work harder. Well, I can't thrive off of stress anymore. And I don't want to. I just want to like manage my stress is what I want to do. But that is the beauty. I have that wisdom now to manage my stress a little bit more and tackle projects in a whole different way than what I used to do. So I would love for you to take care of yourself and make yourself a priority. And that might be hard to do because you might be used to taking care of everybody else. You know, you might be used to taking care of your kids. You might be used to taking care of your partner or taking care of your parents. So it's hard to put yourself first. But what are some things that you can do to offload your burdens so you have more time for yourself, more time for you to plan your meals, more time for you to cook, more time to get out for a walk, more time to join that yoga class you always wanted to join, or to join the gym, more time to spend with friends, more time to get a good night's sleep? So what are some things that you can do? And I always say, you know, can you hire a house cleaner? Can you order in some healthy meals? I know we've tried, I forget what it's called, but it was like a meal delivery service, and it was great. It had protein, it had your vegetable, it had your starch, nice little sauce to go with it. Like, it's great. So can you offload some of the things there? If your kids are getting older, can you offload some of the work onto them? Can you do the dishes? Can you feed the dog? Can you take the dog for a walk? Can you take out the garbage? And then also, you know, your partner, getting them on board as well. Like, this is the transition I'm going through now, and I need to take care of myself or things are going to get bad. So these are the things that I think I need to do to take care of myself. Do you think that you can, you know, do this for me so I can have some time away? So just putting it in that perspective, what can you do for yourself to take care of yourself? And it's interesting because in our 20s and 30s, like, we really are trying to build that security within the world, and it takes an enormous amount of effort. So we're, you know, trying to land a job, a career, start a business. We're maybe raising a family, maybe we're getting married, we were buying a house, buying a car, like, we're just really building up. And now all of that has been built up. So we can pull away from that because we don't need to do that anymore for most of us. And we can start to kind of investigate our relationship with ourselves. a little bit. And I like leaving it at that. Okay. Step number 2, I'm just going to see if does anybody have any questions about that. Just kind of an overview. I'll just look on Facebook here and see if there's nothing else. Okay. So step number 2, nutrition. Okay, so with nutrition, we start to notice nutrition is important because we start to notice this belly fat that is happening that maybe never happened before, and it's new. And like I said, for myself, I never gained weight over my belly. My tummy was always nice and small, and I gained weight in my hips and my thighs, and now it's on my belly. And so this is one of the main reasons that I work with women, is because they've noticed for themselves an increase in belly fat. So what can we do to minimize that belly fat? And we have to stop thinking in terms of calories in and calories out and low carb and all of that stuff, but we need to think more in terms of balancing our blood sugar to help reduce our symptoms and reduce our belly fat. Oh, I'm frozen here. Oops, went too far. So we need to balance our blood sugar to balance insulin. And why do we need to balance insulin? We often think of insulin as it relates to diabetes, and we have type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic. Our body shows insulin resistance, and that means we are not absorbing blood sugar into our body, and therefore we're getting higher blood sugar values. So that is kind of how we know insulin, but insulin can affect our body so much more. And when we turn 40 or we start perimenopause, we become more insulin resistant, which leads to us not being able to put our blood sugar into our muscles, into the cells that it needs. And so we store that extra as belly fat. And that's right where it goes, belly fat. And that is a sign of insulin resistance. So here are some things that elevated insulin is doing to our health. So elevated insulin, elevated blood sugar. So this is what it's doing to our health. Number 1, it's increasing our belly fat. It's increasing our triglyceride and our cholesterol levels. And sometimes you go, to the doctor, you get blood work done and you have high triglycerides, high cholesterol levels. And so you're like, oh, I got to watch my fat intake. Yes, absolutely. Watch your fat intake, but you got to manage your blood sugar too. It increases the stress hormones in your body, adrenaline and cortisol. So, if you, again, feel this symptom, like I just feel like I did, like lots of anxiety, lots of stress and not being able to manage it, why all of a sudden can I do that? Well, it relates back to my blood sugar. My blood sugar was balanced, that I wouldn't have these extra hormones in my body, these extra stress hormones in my body. High stress hormones can lead to high blood pressure. It decreases melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that helps us go to sleep at night. So if you're having trouble going to sleep, you could have a decrease in melatonin if your blood sugar isn't balanced. It decreases DHEA, which is the mother of all hormones. So this is important, especially if you're in perimenopause, and usually your hormones go up and down, up and down, up and down as they start to kind of level off on the down. But DHEA makes estrogen and progesterone. So if we decrease DHEA, then how are we going to be able to even produce estrogen and progesterone to help this transition go a little bit more smoothly for us? It disrupts your sleep, making you feel low energy and fatigue, causes digestive issues, and can cause mood swings. So all of these are very similar to the menopause and perimenopause symptoms that I showed you earlier. And that's what I'm saying. As we get older, we become a little bit more insulin resistant. So we start to see these symptoms caused from unbalanced blood sugar. So this is just an example of if you were to eat 3 times a day. So if you were to eat at 8 a.m., we're going to follow the green line. We're going to increase our blood sugar, and then it's going to dip down. So blood sugar increased once. If we eat at noon, blood sugar increases, and then it dips. If we eat at 6, blood sugar increases, and then it dips. So 3 times during the day, our blood sugar increased. If we were to change that scenario and we eat at 8, and then we eat at 10, and then we eat at 12, and then we eat at 2, and then we eat at 6, and then we have a snack at 8. We have told our body to increase our blood sugar 6 times. We've told our body to produce insulin 6 times when we eat 6 times a day, as compared to eating 3 times a day. We're only telling our body to produce insulin 3 times a day. So just by, looking at that, if you are dealing with some of those symptoms that we talked about in the previous slide, some of these ones, then if you switch from eating, 6 times a day down to 5 times a day, and then you switch from 5 to 4, and then from 4 to 3, and you stick with 3, that's really going to help balance your blood sugar, balance your insulin, and reduce a lot of these symptoms. So meal timing is a really fantastic way, as I talked about, and it is the #1 tool that I use with my clients. Meal timing. We eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and that is it. We have a fasting period overnight from 12 to 14 hours, and we fast in between our meals so that we are not spiking our blood sugar and telling our body to produce insulin. And I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't think my clients weren't getting results from this, but they all get results from this meal timing. The next thing you can do is eat protein first. So protein turns the opposite hormone of insulin on. So it turns on glucagon. So that can be a way that we can manage our blood sugar and reduce our insulin response, is to have 2 bites of protein first, which means you have to have protein at every meal. And that is something else, not something we're going to talk about today, but it's important to have protein at every meal to help balance that blood sugar. And then the other thing you can do is a 5 or 10-minute walk after meals. And that has been really helpful at shunting that extra blood sugar into the muscles, because our muscles are like sponges if we work them. So our muscles are like sponges if we work them. So they soak up that blood sugar as we need it. So if we eat a meal and there's no place for the blood sugar to go, well, it's going to accumulate as fat around our belly. But if we go for a walk, then our muscles can act like sponges, and it can suck up some of that extra blood sugar for us, so we don't hold the weight. So those are 3 things that you can do to help balance blood sugar, which is going to help with all of those symptoms that we talked about earlier. All right, and then step 3, look at time. Okay, I'll hurry up here. Step 3 is movement. And why do we need movement over 40? So this is going to help your transition. As I talked about, balancing blood sugar, movement's going to help with that. But there's so many other things that are going to be happening with our body as we are over 40, as those hormones start to drop. Increase in aches and pains is one, digestive system issues, and movement can help with all of that. So I would say, find movement that is fun. Like I like teaching Zumba because I like to dance. So that's one thing that I like to do. Movement for function. So is it helping you in your everyday life? Is it giving you more endurance? Is it helping you, take those large steps and not fall over, that kind of thing? Movement to support our bones. So estrogen has a lovely protective measure on the strength of our bones. As that starts to decrease, then we get at risk for broken bones due to like osteopenia or osteoporosis. Movement for stress relief. So keeping those stress hormones down so we're not feeling anxious and stressed. Movement for weight maintenance, and movement for weight loss. So estrogen and progesterone, they help us in our childbearing years, keep everything nice and tight and toned. They protect our heart health. They protect us from too many stress hormones. They protect us, our bone health. They keep our metabolism in check. So as long as we worked out a little, we could keep our weight in check. Even if some people didn't work out, they could still keep everything maintained. And that is due to those lovely hormones. So as those hormones start to decrease, we need to do the work, because the hormones are not going to do it for us. So pick an activity that you love to do and do it. Maybe a sport or activity you played when you were younger, something that you may have always wanted to try, like an exercise class, and then you can build from there. So, a part of this journey of this transition is that you're going to have to build in some new holistic health habits. And that's what I meant. Accept the transition and do the self-care. Don't do it all at once. because that might lead to burnout. But what is one thing that you can incorporate that's going to, make your life a little bit better, improve the quality of life? And start with that. And then you can build on from there. Once you've got that habit down pat, and it just becomes part of your daily routine, then you start and add another one. So make sure your activity is fun, functional, supporting bones. It's giving you some stress relief. It's getting your heart going a little bit so you can get some nice heart health benefits. Calorie burning. If you're moving, you're going to be burning calories. And then the duration. Can you do this activity daily? And if not, what is something that you can do in between? And walking, as we just did our walking challenge last week, is one of the best exercises that you can do in between, and something I encourage everyone to do. It boosts mood by producing endorphins, which is a natural painkiller and a mood elevator. So if you're dealing with any pain, it can really help alleviate some of that. Helps with anxiety by letting your mind wander, increases self-esteem and feelings of well-being, works the heart for improved heart health. It's a weight-bearing exercise, so it's going to bring out some benefit of bone health, improves your mood, lowers stress, reduces anger, improves confidence. Walking was made for the menopausal woman for sure. So move and make it a priority. Don't over exercise, because over exercise can actually increase your stress response and increase your stress hormones. So keeping it about 30 minutes is good. Find something fun to do, do it with a girlfriend or a friend, and then try to get 30 minutes of movement in a day, doing it with 10-minute intervals if you need to, if you can't squeeze it in 30 minutes. Okay, so just to recap, we talked about accepting the transition, build some new habits to help the transition. We learned about balancing your blood sugar through nutrition. So things like meal timing, eating protein first, and having a 5-minute walk after you eat. And then how movement is so important in helping with those symptoms, to help kind of ease you through the transition. Oh, I'm stuck here. Second. Oops, I do that and then I get some. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions? I'll just check in the Facebook group to see if there's any questions there. But if you have any questions and you want to send them to me, feel free to do so. I am now going to talk about my metabolic balance weight loss program and my menopause protocol. And I invite you to stay if you'd like to. Feel free to stay, but if you got the information that you needed, you can feel free to log off. And thank you so much for coming and joining. And I hope you got a little tidbit of information to help you move forward with any of this of the menopause, perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause symptoms that you are experiencing. Something that you can incorporate and allow yourself to take the time to incorporate it, so you can start feeling better and hopefully eliminate some of these symptoms and help you kind of sail through this transition and beyond. So this is the perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause protocol. So this is meant for women who want to lose weight. It is a nutrition-based program, especially if weight is accumulated around the belly. And we really need to be aware of that belly weight, because increase anything over 35 inches can put us at risk for metabolic disease, which is like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. So trying to get that belly fat down is really important for your overall health. If you seem to have really bad sugar and carb and salt cravings, maybe even alcohol cravings, or maybe even chocolate cravings, if you feel like you're lacking motivation, you feel exhausted, irritable, and moody, you might be experiencing some digestive issues like IBS, you feel kind of puffy and inflamed, dealing with some kind of itis, you feel like 10 to 30 pounds are now like impossible to get off, and you feel like your hormones are working against you. And if you feel like you just had a plan, something to follow, and take the guesswork out of what I'm trying to do, this would work for you. So, and this is for the woman who feels like some of these symptoms are taking over, and she doesn't know how to kind of find herself again. So in this program, it's a one-on-one program. So you get one-on-one support from me. We do 8 coaching calls in 3 months. So it's a lot of touch points. Not only do we do 8 coaching calls in 3 months, but I also check in with you weekly. Every Friday, I do a check-in to see how you're doing. So there's a lot of accountability, a lot of touch points, and a lot of troubleshooting if things are not working out for you. You get a custom meal plan that is based off of your blood work. So I don't even make the meal plan as a holistic nutritionist. What I do is I send you away for blood work, and that blood work then gets sent to a naturopathic doctor and a doctor, and they create the meal plan for you based on your blood markers, based on 36 blood markers. So it's very unique to you in terms of quantities, in terms of your goal, in terms of everything that any symptoms that you're experiencing, anything that you've had in the past, any food sensitivities. And then you also get access to my nutrition logging app, so I can check up on you. So along with the meal plan, you also get modules around perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. So the first 2 weeks is about nutrition. We look at movement, stress management, your physical body changes, your digestion, your mental health, your emotional health, sleep, supplementation if you need it, detoxification. If there's usually at this point, you're pretty detoxed, but if you come off the program and you feel like you need a detox, then we talk about detoxification. And then also just about accepting the transition, some things that we talked about today. So the cost is $1,100. And like I said, you get use of my nutrition tracker, you get the protocol, the 12 weeks, you get the 8 coaching calls, the 3 months of support. You also get a digital scale from me to weigh your food, because that will be part of the program, is finding out your portions for you that are going to work for you. And then you also get a fancy schmancy Renpo scale, which is to measure your weight, but it also measures bone mass, and it measures your protein, it measures your subcutaneous fat, your visceral fat. So lots of good information there. You also get your blood work, and you also get your meal plan with that $1,100. So women who work with me, this is what we find. We lose the belly weight. You have better, steadier energy, less inflammation, way less inflammation. We balance hormones. Hormones are on the decline, yes, or they have declined. However, you still may be getting symptoms from those less hormones. So there are some things that we can do holistically to try to balance those so you don't have those symptoms. You get better sleep, women experiencing much better sleep, not getting up in the night, better even moods, better digestion. And a lot of women come to me with like IBS and issues with their digestion. And so they go through this transition with ease and joy, and they feel vibrant and radiant. So I currently have two spots open for this program. And I want to just talk about, I know I'm way over time. That's okay. Okay, I want to just talk about a couple of success stories. So this is client A. She wanted to lose 15 pounds and keep it off. She's also struggling with hot flashes and joint pain. So she lost 15 pounds in 2 months on the program, and she has now kept it off for 7 months. Plus, she has gone on 3 vacations. Her metabolism is balanced. Hot flashes are now very rare, and the joint pain is much less due to some of the holistic health practices we incorporated in her time working with me. Client S, she is on her way to losing 65 pounds. In 6 months, she lost almost 40 pounds, and she's also been on lots of vacations and has been able to maintain her weight. She started a great supplement routine to help build collagen for healthy hair and skin and nails. And now she has also started strength training, working with a trainer to help build her muscles and stay strong. Client L, she wanted to lose belly fat, but also had so much inflammation. And that is one of the main reasons she came was inflammation. So her goal was really to get healthy. So far she's 1 month along into her plan, and she's lost 15 pounds, but she feels so good, and her inflammation is so much less joint pain, less gut pain, more energy. Just a fantastic success story. I can't even believe 1 month, the change that has happened with this woman. It brings tears to my eyes. I'm gonna cry. Client T was having some gut health issues and also wanted to lose belly fat. She used to feel like she was 6 months pregnant when she went to bed every night, as the bloating from the day's meals would get worse and worse. She's lost over 20 pounds in 3 months. But the best part is that she is not bloated anymore and does not go to bed with pain or discomfort. Client J, her goal was to lose 20 pounds. She already ate really well and exercised every day, but for some reason, perimenopause, she kept putting on the weight. She lost 15 pounds on the program in 3 months and has still kept that off despite a very stressful life that she leads. She's working on the last 5 pounds, but is struggling with some thyroid issues. So we had talked about going to her doctor to get that tested to see if she could get some support with her thyroid. So we have some holistic health practices in place to help support her thyroid so she can reach her goal. And then client M, her goal was to lose 40 pounds. She ate keto before coming to see me, and she had lost 20 pounds on keto, but it wasn't working for her anymore. And she was also dealing with some inflammation. So we found that when working together that she likely had an underlying condition of an overpopulation of yeast in her body causing the inflammation. So we were successful at being mindful of that and how that came about, and then changing some holistic health practices again to minimize the yeast. She was successful in losing 20 pounds on the program, and she knows the triggers for that yeast that will cause inflammation. So those are some success stories that I have. I have 2 spots open. And how we would begin this process is you and I would just have a conversation to see if we are a good fit together. If you'd like to work with me, you could learn more about the program and the phases of the program. So if you're interested, just send me a message and book a time to chat. And I don't see any questions come up. So I think that is it. I went way over time. I'm so sorry. But thank you everybody for joining. And I will see you sometime soon. Bye.